Welcome to Phillip Island, Victoria in Australia. What a setting we have for this great sporting contest, the Little Penguin Sea to Dune race. Nervous moments always as they gather on the beach, the tension mounting, and away they go. There's the defending champion, wearing his familiar navy blue and white, great waddling style. Another pre-race favourite though, losing touch with the pack. Maybe that's why. A few too many fish in the day's feeding. There's a familiar face, Skip McIntyre, 8 times a champion back in the 90s, a very successful coach now, keeping a keen eye on proceedings. This the leading group, 1 or 2 still able to put on a show for the camera, others just ploughing straight over it. Some resorting to shortcuts. Sad that cheating has crept into this beautiful sport. The judges will have a look at that. But up at the front, the pace is relentless, closing in on those sand dunes that will offer a bed for the night. The fatigue starting to tell. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one, whichever one it is. No answer from the rest, and he takes victory. What a win. There we are, into the Burrow, building an extension with his winnings, and back tomorrow to try and defend his title here on Phillip Island.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Live Penguin TV. My name is Sky. I'm going to be your host tonight. We've also got the lovely Rachel. Jump on in, Rachel.
Hi guys, good evening and welcome. I'm Rachel and I'll be monitoring your questions on Facebook and YouTube. If you've got any questions, please pop them in. And for anyone who's interested, yesterday night we've got 1,852 penguins coming home at 8:30. Thank you, Sky.
1,852, so hopefully another bumper night like that tonight. But of course tonight I want to waste no time introducing our very special guest. It is naturalist Ray Mears. So let me just get you on. Here we go. Hi Ray, how are you?
Hello. Yeah, nice to be here, Sky. I have to say, looking out across Bass Straits there, I actually feel as though I'm there with you. It's fantastic.
Yep, and I'm guessing
And
if
you've
you're in the UK at the moment, you're probably feeling cold like some of the people on our stands might be right now. Ooh, wallaby.
Well, actually, they are forecasting spring-like weather today and 17 degrees. So, yeah, wallaby. Look at that. Amazing. That's
What a
fantastic.
treat. It's just hopped through. It was a little cameo by a wallaby there. I wonder, I
There,
don't know
yep,
if I'm going to be able to catch
Cameras on
it. Gone, absolutely gone. Welcome, Ray. It's such an honor to have you on Live Penguin TV tonight and to talk all things penguin. We're, of course, watching the smallest species of penguin cross the beach, heading home to their burrows tonight. And this is not the first time you've seen these little penguins, is it?
No, Sky. I first encountered them not far from there on the York Peninsula, on Middle Island, which is a lot more difficult to see the penguins. You have to wade through the surf, which is quite difficult. And what you're seeing here are the penguins coming ashore. That's what we went there to see, and it was amazing. They come out of the sea like commandos and dash up the beach to their burrows. It's one of the most exciting things you can witness in the wild. I think it's way up there as something to observe in the flesh. It's fantastic.
Yeah, isn't it just? Isn't it just? So I'm really pleased that you did it. But you said you had to wade across the surf to see them. Like I'll actually just pan across and show you the people who are watching this tonight. this is the all the wading across the beach and toughness that they're enduring. They're sitting on some stands.
Yeah, that would be the way to do it.
Yeah, this is a bit more of a luxury sort of expedition than what you went through. So where did you see these penguins?
That was Middle Island,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very interesting though, because obviously I had unique access to the penguins, and I was working with researchers there, and we were weighing some and things like that. What's amazing is how strong they are. I mean, they look clumsy, they look a little comical. You think of Charlie Chaplin when you see one walking like that, but actually, when you actually hold one, they are very, very strong animals. I mean, I guess it's no surprise because they spend so long swimming in the ocean, but they're an amazing creature.
Oh, aren't they just? Yeah, we've still got some coming in at the moment. So you were picking them up. So I'm guessing you weren't just sort of watching them. Were you filming?
We were filming, and we were there because they had historically had a problem with foxes, which of course were mistakenly introduced to Australia. And the foxes at low tide could get on the island, and they'd protected them by putting dogs on the island, which don't harm the penguins but deter the foxes. And it has been a real success story. But this has been a success story here too, hasn't it? I mean, your story is astonishing.
Oh, absolutely. So we here at Phillip Island, we're Phillip Island Nature Parks. We're a self-funded, not-for-profit conservation organisation, or I should say we're visitor-funded. We're funded by people coming to visit us and tourism. And the only reason that we still have penguins here on this island, and in fact it is the biggest colony of little penguins in the world, we've got 32,000 of them. The only reason that there's still any left is because of some very hard work that we've put in, including getting the island rid of foxes, just like on Middle Island. Well, I guess the dogs are keeping the foxes off Middle Island, aren't they? Whereas we've got rid of them completely, and there's no opportunity for the dogs to actually come. Oh, there's more penguins coming. No opportunity for the foxes to get onto the island. So that's number one. But also in this area, we used to have a housing estate that we got rid of completely. There was over 180 structures here right in penguin habitat that were given up in the name of these little penguins, and it was estimated that we would have 0 penguins left by the year 2000 or the year 1997 if changes weren't made. And we made those changes, big changes and costly changes, but we've done it, and here we are watching these penguins cross the beach just because of it.
I think it's fantastic. It was a bold move in terms of conservation, but it's exactly the sort of action that's needed. It's balancing the needs of every species in the ecosystem with ourselves, our own needs as well. And I think what's interesting is, of course, when you study nature, you realize that we are all connected. We're connected to every other living thing, just as these penguins are. And I mean, I think it's just great to think you actually removed buildings to offer the benefit of the penguins. It's just an incredible story. And people have been watching penguins here since like 1920 as well. So there's a long history.
Yeah, absolutely. And it used to be a lot different about 100 years ago. So people used to turn up and they'd walk all over the penguin habitat and sit in the way of the penguins, and the penguins would come right up on the beach right near them, which is obviously lovely if you're watching, but it's not so good for the penguins having their burrows trampled and all these sorts of things. So over the years, as we've learnt more, now I sort of think of our penguin parade as being a little bit like a reverse zoo. Usually in a zoo, the animals are kept in a small area and the people can walk around freely. No, at the penguin parade, the people are kept in a small area and the animals can walk around freely, and I really like that. I think that's the way. It's a really good way for it to be.
Well, the penguins we see here, they're really hard working. I think this is one of the things that when you see a penguin coming up on shore like this, you don't get a sense of how hard they've worked. They've been out at sea, and they've gone maybe 60 miles in search of food. Certainly once they've had their young, but now they come on shore and they head back to their burrows for safety and security. But they've got a lot of work to do there, haven't they, in terms of preening and taking care of those waterproof feathers.
Absolutely, and some of them have a 2 kilometre journey back to their burrow as well, which 2 kilometres for me would even be a little bit of a challenge. But these guys are 33 centimetres tall and waddling. So yeah, look, they're really, I think you're a bit of an expeditioner. You know what it's like to live through some tough circumstances, and I think these penguins are just like you a little bit in that way.
Well, I mean, what we're seeing here, I mean, it's great. I mean, look at them.
Well, can you see them waddling along the highway there now?
Yeah. The cameras are really advantageous because it's actually much darker than it seems. Obviously, you've got lighting here to help your viewers, but they're using the cover of darkness to make their way back to their burrows to protect themselves from predation. What are the threats that they face in the wild, the natural threats?
Yeah, of course. So, we've got a wallaby just jumping through the screen as well. The reason that they're waiting until nighttime, of course, is because they don't want to get eaten. During the day, they spend their day out by themselves in the water, and their blue feathers help them camouflage. But at nighttime, when they want to rush across our golden sands, of course, they're quite at risk of being swooped upon by a bird of prey or a predatory bird. So we've got swamp harriers, we've got white-bellied sea eagles, we've got Pacific gulls that would love to eat a little penguin. So this is why they form into groups together. We call them rafts out in the water. And then we affectionately call them a waddle of penguins when they arrive on land, and they waddle in together because there's safety in numbers.
I think I saw a bandicoot go across a little while ago.
Ooh. Oh, did you? I missed them. I'm sure the people in the comments will let us know if I've missed a bandicoot.
But and out at sea, the threats that they face, of course, I guess, from the fur seals.
Yes, yeah. So we've got Australian fur seals nearby. They don't tend to bother with our little penguins, but certainly a long-nosed fur seal would love to eat a penguin. And still, again, those predatory birds out in the water too can be a little bit of a danger for them. But these days, unfortunately, the big dangers are marine debris, balloons, balloon strings, bad fishing practices, climate change. These are probably more significant threats than these natural predators ever were. The foxes were a big problem, but of course we got rid of those.
The work of conservation is work never finished, and you've done a great job, obviously, of providing security for their habitat. But now we've obviously got to deal with pollution and other issues. But of course, people are really switched on to that now and committed to affecting change. So let's keep our fingers crossed. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, of course.
There are a lot of clever people out there. I think we will find solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's lots of little things that people can do, aren't there? There's people can be limiting their single-use plastic. People can be blowing bubbles instead of balloons. People can be opting for masks that aren't disposable and making sure that they pull the straps out or cut the straps when they do throw them away so that our animals aren't getting entangled. There's lots of things that people can be doing, and they can certainly be lobbying their people in power as well to make the changes that need to be made.
So, Sky, we're seeing them. This group have come. They look very confident together. There's a lot of preening going on. Do they pick up any parasites?
Yeah, they do. They can get ticks and things like this, but look, they don't tend to bother them. We'll sometimes see them with ticks and sometimes little mites, but it's pretty natural. I think a lot of the animals on the island have little things like this, and they just sort of preen them out, clean them up, and off they go. We've got another little group coming in.
And have the chicks now going out to sea?
Yeah, I'm actually really glad you asked that, Ray, because we have a burrow cam. So that we're on our website, we've got a little camera inside one of our burrows. And up until just a few days ago, we were watching a little chick that we watched from the time it was hatched all the way up until a couple of days ago, where all of a sudden now it has seemed to disappear. And it was about 8 weeks old, so we do assume that we've affectionately named it Bluey. We do assume that Bluey has fledged, which is really exciting. We're not exactly sure. We're still waiting to see, because sometimes these chicks can have some sleepovers in different burrows, but no, there's been no sign of Bluey for a while. Ooh, now I'm just looking at this highway camera, and you might see that there's one penguin on the screen right now that's having a rest in the way, and it's a very chunky penguin. And this penguin is, I would say, oh, yep, here it goes again. I would say this penguin is just about to molt. That would be my
Ah,
guess. I would say it's almost
And they-
doubled in weight, ready to molt.
because they do this dramatic molt, don't they? They lose all of their feathers effectively. So they put on more weight so that they can stay ashore during that period.
Exactly right. Yeah, we call it a catastrophic molt, and for 17 days they have to go without food. So we tend to see some very chunky penguins in the lead up to this molt time because they've got to, of course, sustain themselves throughout those grumpy 17 days. We might even get lucky enough to see a molter. I'll see if I can see any molting penguins or any chicks around. Oh, actually, we've got a chick right here. Let me zoom in so I can show you, Ray.
Tell me about the research that you're doing with the penguins at the moment.
Oh, well, so we have a team of researchers all the time here at Phillip Island Nature Parks, and a lot of the work we do is research-based conservation and conservation-based research. So we track some of the penguins. We have little penguin trackers that we find out where they're going and where they're fishing. We've even put little GoPros on the back of a penguin before to find out what they eat. We go through their poo to see what they're eating as well. But it's not just all about the penguins. We also look at, oh, this camera is not focusing. Come on, camera. Oh, there we go. It's coming now. Yeah, there we are. So we also look at the Australian fur seals. We've got the biggest colony of Australian fur seals just off the coast. We're also doing some research on our eastern barred bandicoots. If you did see one running past, we've released bandicoots onto the island. They were extinct in the wild on the mainland, actually, and they've now got a safe haven here. What else do we research, Rachel?
A lot of different things.
A lot of different things, yeah.
Yeah, even out there in the ocean.
Yeah, we do all sorts of mapping and all sorts of stuff.
And
I think that's
going in.
one of the. I think one of the things that's really exciting is that you look after one species, but you look up in the process you protect a whole ecosystem, and it's fascinating. I mean, I love this because this part of Australia, I like this part of Australia because I like the story of the exploration. The European exploration. We had Matthew Flinders, who of course gave us the name Australia, came through this area, and we're looking out, of course, across Bass Strait, named after George Bass, and those two young men were just incredible. And if you get a chance to read any of their writings, and it's amazing.
Yeah, this is a big waddle.
Got a lot coming ashore now, and you can see your guest there, very excited. And what are you about? How far are you from Melbourne as a driver? 90 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Only about an hour and a half, a bit less than an hour and a half. So it's a quick day trip if you want to come and visit from Melbourne. It's quite easy to do, which I guess is why we've had such popularity, because it's an easy way to see an incredible natural phenomenon. Yeah.
And do you run all through the year?
Yes, this is what's even more incredible. A lot of these natural events only happen at a certain time, don't they? So we've got whales that come past the island, but that only happens at a certain period of time. And, there's all sorts of breeding seasons and things like that. But note, the penguins are year round. Certainly we see peaks and troughs. So this time of year we're seeing lots of penguins. Like last night we said we had 1,852 penguins. That's a lot of penguins. And that's because it's the end of breeding season. They're still coming back to feed their chicks. It is molting season, so they're coming back ready to molt. Whereas in the winter time, when there's none of these pressures that are bringing them home, we do tend to get lower numbers because, they're coming back a little bit. They'll come back, they'll fix up their burrow, they'll have a little rest maybe, but, there's not that need to come home every day. So sometimes they'll stay out at sea for a month or so.
They can stay out, can't they? Yes, they can stay out for a long while.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're incredible creatures. What do they do for preening then when they're out at sea? They raft up on the surface and preen?
I guess they just have to trust their waterproof coating at that point. So I've never been asked that before. Rachel, do you know the answer? How do they sort of keep their feathers in check and preen themselves when they're in the oceen?
Oh, they don't actually preen themselves. Yeah, that's why they have to come back sometimes just to preen.
Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, that because their feathers are waterproof, of course. They don't want to mess with that waterproof coating, and it's a sort of, there's a few things going on with the waterproofing as feathers like Velcro that kind of link into one another, and then there's an oily coating. They've got an oil gland that they stimulate and coat themselves. But yeah, sometimes you see them come in looking quite disheveled. They might have got hit by a wave or...
I mean, they look like they're toweling themselves down after they've been surfing there.
Absolutely, absolutely. They do. Oh, more arriving. Look at this. More and more and more
It's
arriving.
it's one of nature's wonders, really.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
fantastic. And what
Absolutely.
whales do you get? Dare I ask, do you get southern right whales here?
We do, Ray, we do. So, only occasionally, because of course they are critically endangered. But just last year, I was able to stand at one of our beaches. It's called Berries Beach, and stand there and watch as two southern right whales just played with one another just off the coast. Didn't even need binoculars, and they were there for 4 or 5 hours. It was just incredible. Yeah, we're really
It's
lucky.
it's an interesting part of the world. I think people don't realise that that southern edge of Australia faces onto Antarctica.
Mm.
I mean, it's a fascinating thing. You have the Southern Ocean, which is incredibly productive.
Mm.
One of my memories was going in search of blue whales, which we didn't manage to find,
Ah,
although we knew they were there. But we did find these huge balls of krill,
wow.
which they feed on, and the power of nature in that part of the world is just extraordinary.
Absolutely. Let's see if there's any questions from our audience. Rachel.
We've got one question from Jason earlier on. He's asking if we've got penguins in the UK.
Oh, are there penguins in the UK, Ray?
Yeah, only in captivity. I do remember a story, a friend who worked at a zoo where they had penguins that children could, meet and sort of interact with.
Ooh.
And the girl actually hid one under her coat and took it home with her. And when she got home, she went up to her room and was really quiet. And her mum thought, that's unusual. And she went upstairs and there was her daughter with a penguin.
Oh my goodness. Oh, we might have a bandicoot. My goodness, oh gosh, that was a brave little girl. And I imagine there was poo everywhere. I imagine she was bitten. I imagine they're not a good pet. As you found out when you were tackling them when you came and visited Middle Island.
I think it's amazing.
I just saw something run across. It might have been a Ricali, might have been a bandicoot. No, I've lost it now. It's blending in too well with
It's
the
hard,
the
isn't it?
rust.
Because they move those animals move so fast.
Oh, now I have forgotten to do something that's very important, and I it's very remiss of me. So I would just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are watching these penguins. They are the Bunurong of the Kulin Nation. I'd like to pay my respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging. So this, Ray, this is Bunurong country. So it's the Bunurong
Yeah.
people. Now this is Malau. Phillip Island is otherwise known as Malau. And the Bunurong didn't used to live on Malau, but they did used to come across, particularly in the spring and summer, to harvest shearwaters and shellfish and small marsupials and things like this.
I mean, the shearwaters are amazing as well.
Mm.
I mean, the journeys that they make
Oh,
are just astonishing.
yeah,
We're talking about, creatures here that travel from Alaska to Antarctica.
absolutely.
I mean, it's truly amazing.
Yes.
And so where are you at with the shearwaters at this time of year?
Oh, we're at a really interesting time. So the shearwaters are here right now. They are having their chicks, or their one chick, and around April is when we will start to see the adult shearwaters fly away, going back up to the oceans around Alaska. But what's really interesting is that, of course, the chicks don't go with the adults. The chicks stay for an extra couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks sometimes, and then take off on their own. And they have to find their way to the oceans around Alaska completely by themselves, with no teaching, with nothing, which just blows my mind. And we've got over a million, I think, here on this island that call this home in the summertime. So no
That's
shortage of
amazing.
short-tailed shearwaters. My goodness.
And I think that's great, because by protecting the penguin and the penguin's burrows, you obviously are also protecting the burrows for the shearwaters as well. And they've had quite a hard time of it in terms of conservation worldwide. So
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
that's brilliant.
Yeah. No, it's lots of really dynamic things going on this island. It's a really exciting thing to be a part of here in Phillip Island Nature Parks.
Tell me more about the Bunurong people. What was their attitude towards penguins, and how do they feel about the conservation efforts?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question. From all reports, the penguins were not classified as food for the Bunurong people, and considering that these are land based birds. They're not birds that fly. They are they're not easy to catch, but they're not hard to catch either. The fact that they weren't being eaten suggests that they're probably not very tasty. And I'm not actually sure. I don't want to speak for anybody in saying what anyone thinks of the conservation, but I think most of our community here on Phillip Island are quite supportive of all the conservation work that's going on here. Absolutely.
I've seen in other parts of Australia, the First Nations in other parts of Australia doing the most extraordinary work in conservation. And they have this unique relationship with their landscape that nobody can mimic. And when you combine that with scientific research, and they have the tools and the training, it's a real win-win situation. I've seen some astonishing work being done.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's all sorts of Aboriginal science as well that that people have been practicing for tens of thousands of years. There's so much knowledge, isn't there?
There's your wallaby.
Yeah, there we go. There's a wallaby again.
They're amazing animals. So they're very charismatic.
Oh, aren't they just?
Yeah, we do have wallabies in Britain.
I do know that. So I used to, I don't know if the people at home know, but I used to live in the UK, and at least once I saw a wallaby in a field nearby me. They've escaped from a few parks, I think. Yeah.
There's a strong population on the Isle of Man, and it's just an amazing thing to see. They seem to do quite well.
I think the second biggest population outside of Australia is in the Peak District in the UK, I think I heard.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether they're still there. There was some question over that recently, yeah. That's fantastic.
Oh, we've got some penguins waddling along the highway here. Oh, sorry.
The cameras are good. So this glass on the left, is that a viewing platform where people can actually look out?
Yeah, I'll just scoot across. I don't want to give away anybody, but yes, this is we call it our underground viewing area, and it's a place where you can go to be literally this far away from the penguins as they waddle on past. And it's also very nice because sometimes it can be quite cold here at the Penguin Parade, or it can be sideways raining, and when you're in the underground burrow, it's a nice place on a cold night.
Yeah, when we were on Middle Island, it was windy and cold. It was a long wait.
I'm so excited that you've seen these in the wild, and Middle Island's such an exciting place to be. Now, you were in Australia just a year ago, is that correct?
Yeah, literally just at this time now, exactly this time. I've gone to Kangaroo Island to take a look at the aftermath of the bushfires there. And it was a really emotional time to be on Kangaroo Island because, of course, a lot of people lost their properties on the western side of the island, and they were just starting to rebuild. But they'd lost their hammers, their saws. Incredibly resourceful people, but they'd lost everything.
Yeah, they'd lost everything.
But it was interesting to see that that nature was already regenerating. One of the things that was fascinating was you could more easily see echidnas and goannas because the vegetation had gone. And you must get echidnas here, surely.
We do, yeah. I reckon I see an echidna about once every 2 weeks, or there's a few places I can go and see an echidna almost every time. They are one of my absolute favourite animals. I just think, it's not just the penguins that waddle here on Phillip Island. They go from side to side too.
Well, that was interesting to see, and it was fascinating. And a lot of the boardwalks that had been put in for the tourists had just turned to ash. So you were seeing Australia in a very raw sense. It was fantastic to see.
Yeah, and you were filming again?
I did some broadcasts back to tell the story, and we did a photo essay of that time. It was really interesting. The people are amazing, incredibly resourceful, and we're just getting on with things as you'd expect. But it was wonderful to see. But the power of regeneration, fire is a part of the cycle of life in Australia. So that was quite interesting. Obviously, you're not supposed to have such catastrophic fires and so frequently.
No.
But of all the places, Australia is actually quite well adapted to recover from fire. So, and that we could see, I think, astonishing photos of charred landscapes, absolute charcoal black, with fresh young leaves bursting forth. Amazing.
And we've got some trees that can't germinate without fire, or at the very least smoke. So that fire is a very important part of regenerating forests and areas. But yeah, as exactly as you said, fires of that magnitude that we had last year that go that far, there used to be practices where the Aboriginal First Nations peoples used to have all sorts of fire management practices to work with the land that they've been doing for thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of years. And yeah, unfortunately, we're now seeing these big fires because we haven't been managing it well enough.
I've actually been lucky enough to go out with Aboriginal people in the north of Australia, and to burn the country in that way. It's fascinating.
Wow!
And you know that the hawks follow you. They know when you're going out to burn, because they know that as soon as the fire has gone through, they can find food. So they actually follow you. It's the most amazing relationship.
Wow!
How long will the penguins keep coming from the ocean? How long does this take?
It goes for a couple of hours, so we tend to see most of the penguins come up in this first 20 minutes, so the bulk of the penguins will have come up by now, but they will come up in dribs and drabs for the next 2 or 3 hours. We actually count these penguins, we count them for the first 50 minutes. So there is some poor person sitting near our stands with binoculars going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We laugh, but that's literally their job tonight.
That's amazing.
Which does remind me, we've only got a few minutes left. So let's go to question from the comments before we head off.
Yeah, we've got Amy.
Yes, hi Amy.
Who's asking if we've got lots of penguins in May because she wants to bring her son here in May for his birthday.
Oh, okay. Happy birthday to your son, Amy. Do we have lots of penguins here in May?
October.
October. Yes, October is a fantastic time to come. October is right in the middle of the breeding season. That is when you are seeing stacks of penguins coming up almost every day because they have got chicks that they need to feed, and at that stage their chicks almost need to be fed daily if possible fed daily. They have got eggs that they need to be taking their turn to sit on. So yeah, October is a time where you're going to see lots and lots of penguins, similar numbers than to what I think we'd be seeing tonight. Particularly Australian summer, fantastic time to come.
Right. I think this is one of those things. It's like watching turtles come up on a beach, watching penguins. It's as exciting as that. And I think that time on Middle Island, watching those penguins come out of the sea, I've never forgotten that. It's magical.
Yeah, it's a magical phenomenon, an incredible phenomenon, and it's really quite otherworldly, I would say. And I completely agree with you. So look, I think we're going to have to sign on off. Thank you so much for coming and speaking with us, Ray. It has been such a pleasure to have you and to hear all about your experiences all around the world. And I know you're very committed to conservation, so we really thank you for helping us and help promote us to keep conserving this beautiful island that we're watching.
Thank you. I mean, it's been a privilege to be here. And, it's amazing, isn't it? By this technology, we can all stay in touch around the world. And that puts us in touch with nature in a way. Nature doesn't respect sort of international boundaries. And conservation has to wise up to that as well. We all have to learn to work together for the benefit of our whole planet. And I think by this means, we're able to communicate and observe and witness what's going on. And I think this is really important. The secret for the future is for those of us who care about nature to talk to each other. And so, it's been a lovely opportunity. Thank you very much.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. So for those of you who are watching, if you'd like to help us out, you can donate to the Penguin Foundation. The link is in the description. Now, I didn't prepare you for this, so I don't know if you're going to be on board, Ray, but often when we say goodbye like a penguin, and we do what we call a huck off, because when they call to each other in the ocean, when they call to each other in the ocean, they make a noise that we call a huck, and it sounds a little bit like this. And our viewers in the comments, they'll often greet each other with huck when they're typing in the comments. It's quite a thing that we do. So we'll often we'll often huck away as we say goodbye. So I'm about to say goodbye. I'm about to sign off. I'm about to make a hucking noise. Do feel free to join me, Ray, but also feel
I'll do
free
my
to.
best.
And you can also do some other noises. They make noises like this as well. So feel free to make any which penguin noise you would like. But once again, thank you so much for coming. We can't believe that we've got you on the show. We're so pleased. For everyone else, we're going to be back again tomorrow for more penguins. We hope if you're watching from the UK, that these little penguins have put a smile on your face tonight. But thank you so much for watching, everybody.
Thank you, Ray.
Have I forgotten anything, Rachel? Have I hit everything? All right, let's say goodbye in penguin language. Here we go.